one we did, we're live now, but the last one we did, I think, let me look here real quick. Just go over to Spreaker. I'm curious as to who listened, because I know I probably listened to just a tiny little bit of it, but that probably counts as a listen. And let me see statistics. I do know my good friend here at the brick and mortar store, Asylum Comics, did share our auction discussion. So it was nice of him. Jordan Lowe of the Kapow, the Pop Cultured Podcast. Trying to find it now. Where's that bonus? Yeah, we got four plays, 24 downloads. So I think just from what I can see, we have a core audience of at least 14 people. So I think another 10 hopped on there and downloaded it from what I can see. So, that's not bad. We got some people listening. Nobody's commented as far as I know, but hey, I'll take what I can get. So now this one we're going to talk about. Did it happen on Saturday or did it happen on Sunday? I can't remember.
Yeah, this was a Saturday auction. Auction was at noon is when it started.
Okay. And you had to go where?
It was in New Hampshire.
Oh.
So it was about an hour and 40-minute drive from Boston.
Okay. Yeah, you're smack dab in the middle of a lot of population, or at least you're close enough to some population there. Popular cities, I guess I should say. I was actually looking at where you were at on the map today because a friend of ours, a friend of the podcast, is actually going to be moving to Philadelphia, and he was talking about how he had the choice between Philadelphia and Indianapolis, and he's like, Indianapolis is pretty much smack dab in the middle of nowhere when you look at it, because there's not really a whole lot around it. And you compare that to Philadelphia and how close it is to like New York, Boston, and other big cities. I think, when it comes to the level of opportunity and stuff like that, it's probably the best place to go. But all right, so you went to New Hampshire.
That's right.
And now, how did you find out about this auction? Was this Auction Zip?
Yeah, it was an Auction Zip find.
Okay. What we see in the ad? Do you remember?
Does anybody? I guess that's a website we use to locate auctions, and I've been using that website for probably 15 years maybe for a long time. So
2003.
Probably since probably 2005, I'd say.
Okay. Well, you're the one that definitely taught me about it. So going on there and just able to type in your zip code, the radius, and keywords. Right. So I assume this one popped up in your email?
No, actually, I don't really. I mean, I get the alerts in my email anymore, but I don't always check them. So
no,
you can just go on there when I have some time and just look up, comic auctions within 150 miles of my zip code.
Mm-hmm.
Out there. So,
well, what made you gravitate towards this one? Because I remember you calling me and you were kind of excited and you sent me some stuff on Facebook about it. What made you go, okay, well, this one I'm definitely going to be driving a little bit of time to go check out? Yeah,
the reason I went to this one was because there was no online aspect of this auction. So normally when anymore all the auctions, you have the live people bidding, and you also have people live on a website bidding. So there's a lot more competition for the comics. So I was hoping maybe that might dial down the competition a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, I don't think that really worked.
Oh no. Well, it's a gamble, man. You go there and you're like, okay, I'm ready to go. Let's see what the competition is going to be like. And you don't know if you're going to get some heavy hitters that are ready to spend some money, or if you're just going to get the local yokels that could give a crap less. They've come for the tools or something like that. This was all comics though, wasn't it? Was there? Oh no, wait a second. There was some other stuff in there too.
This was comics and toys and I mean, it was everything you could think of: video games, movies. It was a ton of stuff. They probably had about, I'd say about 75 long boxes.
Dang, that's a lot. That's still a lot. I mean, I saw 250, but I mean, 75 is still a good bit of long boxes. Was it one? Do you know if it was like one collector or if it was a multitude of people that put their stuff together and they just did the auction?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was a multitude. I think there was one collection that was. There was obviously one collection that was one guy's. I think maybe out of the thing there was maybe like two big collections that were, separate, and then there was just a bunch of random stuff, random long boxes that, who knows, maybe they got them from storage or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because the lots that I bought were a guy who collected, a run. He had made a run of a comic, like Batman. He had, whatever I said, Batman, like, I don't know, it was 332 through like 510. Like,
yeah, it's close to 200 issues of Batman. I remember sitting there when you sent that. I was like, "You're right." I was trying to figure out how long he would have had to collect. So you said it was from issue 3 something. So where was issue 300 of Batman? What year?
I think it would have
70s?
probably been the late 70s.
Late 70s? And up to 500 and some.
Let me see. Well, he had some earlier issues too, but they weren't like, he had some in the 250s, like 240, 250s. There was like maybe like a couple issues from that time, and then around like issue like 330 on, he had everything. So I think the 330 issue, maybe it would have been early 80s, late 70s.
I'm looking to see what you sent me here. Yeah, Batman 332 to 510. So, okay, before we get into the particulars of this auction and what you got, let's talk about number one. Did you take your family? Because
no, I did not.
You were talking about, man, I don't know if I want to go up there and spend all day.
I don't want a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old with me. So
yeah, well, you shove them off at the mall with mom. That's that can go so far, but well, that's good. Not take.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, not taking the family sometimes can work in your benefit because.
Oh, yeah. Especially with the real little kids,
Oh yeah.
Older kids, they can enjoy some of the other things, and I like it just because, you can walk around and there was a lot of stuff. There was Transformers, there were GI Joe guys, there were Star Wars. I mean, all the stuff. The toys from when we were kids in the 80s.
Oh man,
it's kind of cool to just look at some of the stuff and, kind of enjoy that aspect of it.
Yeah. So, auction house located in a pretty big town, or was it a smaller town?
It was a town. It's just south of Springfield, which is one of the bigger cities in western Massachusetts. So, about 10 miles south of Springfield, where the Basketball Hall of Fame is.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, there's a decent population size there. I mean, just anywhere in Massachusetts. I mean, there's
a lot of people
around. So,
yeah,
because it's a dense state. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't out of the middle of nowhere. So I was the first person to arrive at the auction.
No kidding. What time did it start?
It didn't start till noon, and for some reason, when I looked at the thing, I saw it said like preview from like 9 until 11. But the preview actually was like 10 to 12. So I was like 20 minutes early to when the preview started. So like I came in there was nobody there, and I was like, oh wow, I got the place to myself. This is nice.
Well, yeah, you can start going through the long boxes, and of course there's always that false sense of security when you get in there first. You're like, oh yeah, all right, here we go. I don't have to worry about a whole lot of people bidding against me, but then they start filing in. So you get in there, you take a look. Auction house, pretty nice.
Yeah, it was a nice setup.
Yeah.
With this auction, it was a little different than auctions I've been to in the past, where they kind of like go around to the different tables, right? And they auction items off.
Yeah.
So they had an auctioneer stand at the front, and they had like 10 people that would just bring an item up. So I've never really been in an auction with that type of format. I don't know if you have, but
Where they were bringing stuff up to the auctioneer as he like
yeah.
stood there and.
Yep.
Oh, that's all we have down here, actually. I mean, well, McLeish down in Reno, that's kind of how they do things. You know, they will sit there and they won't move, but you know, the guys that they hire will bring up the auction or the stuff that's up for bid and hold it up there. Trying to think of, you know, that
some of the ones I've gone to, they've had like, they'll have like 2 different auctioneers or 3 different auctioneers even. They'll have separate rings, and they just go around to each table. And then when you just go over to wherever they're doing it, if it's something you want, and
did it seem to go
auction tremendously?
That's what I was going to say. It probably goes quicker that way, doesn't it?
Oh, that does, definitely.
Yeah, dude. With over in the place that I went there. Oh crap! Hold on a second. What was the name of it? It's by. Well, it's the one place out in the middle of nowhere that I usually go to. They will run 2 auction rings out there, and it's rare that you see that really in the city. At least to the auctions that I go to. These guys out there will do 2 auction rings, and I mean, it just like you said, they'll have a gymnasium full of stuff, and I mean completely packed. And they'll start that auction at 10, and they'll have it done by 1:30, because those 2 auction rings are going, and they'll be selling stuff left and right. So, and it's nice. Now, it would be awesome. It would have been awesome if they did that up in Sugar Creek, but of course, you know, that's why they still went through it pretty quickly. But okay, yeah. So
they had a total. I think this auction that I went to, they had 1,200 lots. So
holy wow,
that's a lot.
Yeah, it is, dude. I mean, I'm sitting there thinking that the one in Sugar Creek had maybe 600, and that's, you know, that was pushing it in my opinion. That thing went 6 hours.
Yeah, so they had a lot, and I used it to my advantage, that format, because basically the auction, when he started, he said, "Hey, for the first hour, you know, we're not going to take any, you know, requests to auction certain lots. And then after that hour, you can tell us if there's anything that you want. We'll put it up here for you."
Oh, nice.
So, you know, that's what I did. I went around and I told the guy, I said, "Hey, can you put this one up next? Can you put this one up?" And he went up and took all of the ones that I wanted and put them up on the table up there. Now, they still didn't necessarily go right away, but at least I knew they were there. And
yeah,
it was going to happen, you know, like in the next hour at least.
Did all your stuff come up for auction all at once that he set aside? Like, did he go? Oh, so he spaced it out like he would go.
Because there was like 10 people walking around, so they'd bring up stuff and then they'd do that, and then, you know, he had all my stuff, you know, like sitting on the table, you know, the long box or whatever I wanted. So okay, then they'd get to it eventually, but you know, it still took time. But at least I wasn't sitting there for like till 10 o'clock at night waiting for
your stuff to come up.
You know, I would tell people if they ever in an auction like that, you know, to make sure they do that. Don't be shy about it. Just go up there. And I was like the only one doing that too, because I was like, man, I am not sitting here all day.
Yeah, I've made a couple of decisions like that before, because you know you don't know when it's coming up. And usually they're really nice, because number one, if that's an item that you're going to pay for, they don't want you walking out of that auction without potentially getting that money. So, you know, if you say, "Hey, I'd like that," they're like, "Well, yeah, sure, no problem. We'll get it up there so you can you know, put your money towards it." They don't want you walking out that door without just because you're waiting on an item.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, there was a couple times where the auctioneer got to an item and he's like, "Hey, I know there's some guy in here that was interested in this. You know, I don't see him, so let's hold off on this." So they'd like put that aside. And,
oh wow!
And, you know, give him an opportunity to bid on it. So, and I think there was even one item too. Like some guy was doing some phone bidding, and they were like, "Oh, let's call this." You know, he hadn't called in yet, so they were like trying to call him. It's like, we know, they know he wanted to bid on it, but you know, those are people that might, you know, have a good relationship with the auctioneer. They may participate all the time, but
yeah. All right, so let's talk about what you got. or what was there? I mean, we already talked about some of the they had some comics, they had some toys. Did you bid on any toys? Because I know you got some comics for sure, but did you bid on any toys?
I bid on.
You didn't?
No. There was
Okay.
only one lot of toys that I thought about bidding on. There was an Ultra Magnus Transformer that was still in the box.
Oh my gosh!
It was pretty beat up, the box, and I think that sold for like $70. And I think I might have bid like $30 for it or something, and I just didn't bid anymore after that. But that was sorry.
Oh, you're right, man. I'm gonna try and find the Ultra Magnus here. The Ultra Magnus. What was he in Transformers lore? I mean, I remember him vaguely.
I don't know too much about it, but they had some other Transformers that weren't in the box, and then they had some Transformer empty boxes. A lot of that that had like 5 or 6 Transformer empty boxes without the figure. So I think that lot sold for like $50 or $60, and then the Ultra Magnus one, there was some other junk in there too in that lot, but that was kind of the other thing. I mean, I can talk about the toys a little bit, but I was really shocked at some of the prices of the toys and even some of the video games. It was kind of like, I know there was a lot of G.I. Joe guys. It was a big box. I don't know exactly how many were in there. But
just a bunch of loose figures.
Well, they were wrapped in plastic and stuff. I didn't even really look at them. I didn't give them a second look, and they sold for like $700.
Oh my gosh! I mean, how many figures are we talking about?
See, I don't know. It was a pretty big box.
Okay.
Well, there might have been like 200 figures in it, but I really didn't look at it. I mean, there was a lot of He-Man stuff. They had Skeletor's castle, and then just maybe like 25 figures, and I think that sold for like $300.
Damn! Wow, that's pretty crazy.
The one toy that there was a box that had a Jabba the Hutt in it, and there were 2 guys bidding on that, and it went for $750.
Jabba the Hutt?
Yeah, well, I didn't even know what was in there, but there was like the people were like, "What's going on?" Like, and then the auctioneer was like, "Well, what?" They're like, "What's in there?" And the guy's like, "Oh, there's a Jabba the Hutt in there." I was like, "Oh, okay."
I didn't know
no idea
that ran for that much.
And the other shocking one too was there was a lot of, they had a Sega Genesis and a bunch of Genesis games and Sega CD games in a box. I'd say probably like 40 games total. That sold for like $500. Come
on.
No, man.
Wow.
There was a lot. The Super Nintendo. Okay, another lot with video games. I'll just talk about this last one. There was an empty Super Nintendo box, and then there was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 empty game boxes, and then there was about 10 games. I think it was like Donkey Kong Country and nothing that none of the ones that are rare, like a Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy or any of the rarer ones, or popular role playing games or anything like that. And it sold for like $600.
Okay. So me and you have we've had a discussion about boxes and box art before. So is that why that was going for so much?
I have no idea. I mean, I have looked up boxes for like Nintendo games and stuff, and I know they're valuable, but I wouldn't think that they're, I don't know, worth $600. I mean, I've looked on eBay because I still have all the old boxes for my games. I've looked. There's been people that sell them on eBay for, a box lot of 50 boxes, and it'll sell for like $300-400. But that's like 50 boxes.
Yeah,
just like 4 or 5. Whatever. There wasn't that many. It wasn't like something I looked at and was like, "Whoa, I'm going to get this." And the other thing too is like there was a lot. There was like a PS2 system that had a box of like, there was at least 50 PS2 games with the PS2. That sold for like $100. And one of the auctioneer guys bought it. Like one of the guy that was putting items up there bought it because like nobody was bidding on it.
Was it like the old school PlayStation like I have up here where, well, you can't see it.
PS2. It was a PS2. It was the original big PS2.
Okay.
Not to
Okay.
swim.
I
But
mean,
some of the stuff I was just shocked at, like what it was going for, like the GI Joe figures, and then they did that. They had an original Atari box too.
oh
Atari
wow. I don't know if I've ever
2600.
seen. I don't know if I've ever seen an actual. You talking about an actual cardboard box that it came in?
Yep. Yep.
I've never. I want to look and see. I don't know.
And the
If I've ever
auctioneer
seen
came up
one.
and he's like, "Oh, I've never,
No?
like in all the auctions I've ever been in, I've never had a box this nice." And then I think it sold for like $100. So not very much. And the auctioneer was like, "Man, come on, guys, this is an original Atari box."
It's an
And,
empty
I
box.
think it had the system with it too. And I was just like, "Well, I guess people don't care. They'd rather have Super Nintendo boxes. I don't know." And I was thinking, I was like, do I really want, like, they had they had some of the, like an Intellivision, they had a Coleco system.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking about buying that stuff, and I was like, man, I will never play it. I'm like,
Yeah, it's so funny because a friend of ours was on Facebook today, and he said, "This might be a weird question, but does anybody have an Atari 2600 and some games that I could borrow?" And it's like, well, you don't see that too often. And I kid you not, about 7 comments down, one of his friends took a picture of his front seat of his car, and there sat an Atari 2600 with about 30 or 40 games in the same box.
when you go buy the retro system that doesn't have all the, like 50 games on it or something.
I don't know. I know that I've been hearing Pat, the NAS Punk, and what's his name on his podcast. They've been talking about an Atari box that's been in the making for quite a while. And of course, Pat just craps all over it. He doesn't think it's anything worth ever buying. And it's been in development for so long. But yeah, I mean, at some point they're going to be doing something like, the Nintendo did, the mini NES and the mini SNES. So I don't know, man. I mean, I understand that it could be an empty box can be rare, especially something coming from Atari is early 80s. So we're going on 35 years now. That auctioneer, sometimes you wonder about, what kind of BS the auctioneer saying, like, oh, that's the nicest Atari box I've ever seen. I bet it's the only damn Atari box you've ever seen.
Yeah.
So full of it.
Intellivision had a box too. It was in the box, and I think a bunch of the games were boxed for that too.
Let's just go to eBay. I'm curious, okay? Because we've got to find out what an empty Atari box would go for. That was the wrong button to hit. There we go. All right, so Atari. You said it was a 2600.
I believe it was a 2600 box. It was huge too. It was like,
yeah, those things were big. Atari 2600 system in original box. You've taught me one thing. That is to look at the completed auctions. Let's not even look and see what's up for bid right now.
Sold listings is what you
sold
want.
Listings.
Completed ones, because the completed ones, nobody necessarily bought it, the item. They just completed it.
Yeah, here we go. Sold listings. Oh well, we're not. We're in the games now. I don't see anything. Zippy the Porcupine Atari 2600 homebrew, new in box, sold for $50 plus $4.80 shipping. A homebrew game is not even an actual game that was released. It's somebody that created one.
Right.
Oh, right.
I remember several years ago, somebody did that for the Sega Genesis. They made their own homebrew game and released it, and it's like a role playing.
I know what you're talking about. Because I saw that. You were telling me about that, I think.
I was telling you, I don't know how many years ago that was. But
it was that. Didn't you see it at like Toys R Us or something? Or
no, it wasn't on Toys R Us. I think it was online. It was just something
just something online.
Guy had a website and everything for it. Can't remember the name of it.
Oh, here we go. Atari 2600 video game console with box and 6 Atari games with game case, $100, and that sold. And it's $24 shipping. It is a big ass box, that's for sure. And that actually looks
bad
nice. There's one that sold for 160. Let me look and see what this says. That's a weird looking one right there. And all I want to do is click on the picture so I can look at it. But no, I've got to look at every other auction that went up for bid after clicking on the picture. Okay, well, whatever. But it sold for $160. Buy it now. Pre-owned. Of course. Here's another one. Atari 2600 4-switch tested, excellent condition, original box. Controllers and 10 games, $145. So, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not paying that much for an Atari 2600, and that's for sure. You remember the old school adapters? The things that had the little two-prong things that would stick on your antenna?
Those. When did they stop using those?
I mean, good luck finding anything that has an antenna on the back.
The Nintendo 64 didn't really have the big one, so I think that's when they about stopped it. But
yeah,
the PS1 didn't have it.
This
would be the Sega Genesis, because if you had a Sega Genesis, you had every single one of the free add-ons. Like the 32X had a big ass one. And the Sega CD itself had its own power cord, so you had like fucking, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on here.
The Angry Video Game Dirt does a good job of the Sega Genesis. All the add-ons.
Did you see he did a new one with I'm about to call it Homeward Bound, Earthbound?
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't watch it yet though. So
he released it on Amazon first, which was interesting. So if I was like, why Amazon? Well, it's 40 minutes long. That's why. So you can go watch it on Amazon if you want. He actually released it early on Amazon, but he just released it on YouTube, I think, within the last couple of days. But all right, let's talk comics. Let's talk some comics.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to get too off track there, but
don't worry about it, dude.
To give a little bit of insight on some of the other things I saw, because the prices were kind of out of the range of what I've ever seen. So
that's all stuff I would have loved to have seen go up for sale and watch. So, I mean, yeah, that's pretty cool. So let's talk comics. So what did you go there for? Did you have something in mind that you knew you wanted to get right off the bat before you started looking through the comics?
So as far as like the pictures that they had online, there was a couple issues that were key that they were selling. One of them was the first appearance of Rocket Raccoon.
Yep.
They sold that particular issue in a lot. I think it was like 4 or 5 comics, and one of the other issues in that lot was I think a Journey into Mystery, like 89, which is early Thor, and then some other. I think the other comics I really didn't know what they were. They were just kind of random. And then they also had an X-Men 94, which is the beginning
Phoenix.
Of the new X-Men series.
Oh, okay.
The first appearance of the new X-Men was in Giant Size X-Men when they rebooted the X-Men, and then that would be the first issue in that series with the new team and everything. So that was one of the ones I was wanting to get. And then they had a good run of like, as far as online the pictures, they had like X-Men 97 through I think 120 in a lot, and then I actually got a long box that had issue X-Men 126 through, I think it was, what did I say in my email to you? Through
hold on, I can tell you. I'm gonna pull up Facebook here real quick, and I'll tell you. Bring up some of the pictures too as well.
But generally, I mean, that was what I was kind of looking for was those lots, and then I was hoping that they'd have some other stuff that they didn't really post on their webpage, any pictures of it, which they did.
Okay, so I've got a picture here of the Journey into Mystery. You had the Silver Surfer #4.
Oh, that was what was in there. Silver Surfer #4, which it was not in good condition. I mean, the spine on it was all torn up.
Oh, really? Yeah, I
think that particular lot there sold for, I think, about $250. Plus, there was a 15% buyer's premium.
Oh my goodness!
On the lot. So
yeah, I was going to say they have, and I think that one or at least in that box, from what I can see, has the first Hobgoblin in the background there. There's a Human Torch.
Yeah, Human Torch #1, which is that was a Bronze Age comic, which I believe I have a copy of that somewhere.
Yeah. And there's the Journey into Mystery that you were talking about, where I cannot tell. I can't see what number it is.
Yeah, it's like 88 or 89 or one of those. It's in the 80s. I know it is. I think I have it.
$250, you said?
Yeah, I believe it was around $250 is what that lot sold for.
Okay. Well, here's a picture of the auction setup. I'm looking through here, and it looks like this was Books and Such, huh? So this was like a comic shop also? Like that was some of the lots in there? Because I noticed it says Dan's Books and Such on the front of these boxes.
I think, yeah, some of them must have been the inventory of a shop there. I think basically all that stuff. Like I took a picture of stuff against the wall. I think that was all maybe stuff from that comic shop. And then in the back of the auction, that was where they had all the other comics set up. There was like 2 rows of long boxes. And one of the rows had, like I think 10 boxes, which was I think the guys, one guy's collection that had, the runs of like the X-Men, and he had like a run of New Mutants, a run of X Factor.
I mean, look here.
Behind that, there was another table with a bunch of junk on it that was like all really low grade comics.
Yeah, here is
and then more modern stuff too. There wasn't anything really old. I think the oldest comic I found at the auction was like an Archie #60. That was in some random lot.
Here's an interesting way to hold your lot of comics in the Prilosec box. Got like a lot of X-Men there, and I can't tell some of the issues that are in there.
Oh, is that the one with I think it's got 96 in the front.
Yeah, I think that's it. To fight or Night of the Behemoth or something like that.
Yeah, so I can talk about that lot a little bit. I mean, that was a pretty good lot. There was I think 21 issues, spanning from issue 96 to, what did I say, 121, 122. So it wasn't a complete run. There were a few issues missing in there, but they were pretty, high grade, I would say.
Were they?
Definitely above like a 7.
Did they have? I mean, were these guys concerned about condition at all? I mean, that wasn't anything where they said, "Look at that, look at the condition of that Silver Surfer #4." Did they say anything like that when it came to the comics?
Nope.
Okay. All right. And you really didn't have, like you said, this wasn't online. This was all in person. So, right. They didn't have to try and convey that to people who couldn't actually be there to see the comic.
Right. So here's, there was none of the comics I think were sold to anybody that was bidding like on the phone. I mean, there was only a few lots that people were bidding on phone by.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there was a lot that had the first Deadpool and the first Cable in it.
Yep, that New Mutants lot.
That was a long box, and somebody was bidding on the phone, but they didn't win. So, now as far as that X-Men lot that you are talking about there with 96,
yeah.
So that lot sold for, I bid up to $600 on it.
You did?
Yeah.
Now,
so it sold for $600 is when I tapped out. There was another guy that I was bidding against. So it would have been $600 plus a 15% buyer's premium for those 21 comics.
Wow. I mean, dang. That's impressive.
And I thought if I didn't tap out there, I was pretty sure he was going to keep going, because I just had my hand up, I was just holding my hand up, and the auctioneer was going, $10, increments, and he's going between both of us, and then finally got to 600, and I was like, put my hand down. I was like, shaking my head.
I am out.
He's like, "Are you done? Are you sure? Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, we're calling it right there. Did so the guy you were bidding against, what he walk? Do you know if he walked away with anything else, or was he piling
I
up
don't know. I didn't even
boxes
see
of
who it was.
comics?
I didn't look to see who it was.
Okay.
But I mean, if certainly the condition, they're the one of the more valuable ones out of that run there is the first Phoenix, which is X-Men 101, and that was in there. And I was looking at on some of the auction websites for pricing, and a high grade, I'd say above a 9, goes for like $700-800 in that issue. So
Wow,
certainly, if he's going to get it graded and it is in that condition,
it's worth it.
it would be worth it. But
Yeah.
again, you know, they were high grade, but I don't know whether it was above a 9. I mean, certainly we couldn't open the comic and look.
Yeah.
So, and none of them were boarded. I mean, they were all in bags. But
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I didn't see any boards at all on there. That's my biggest fear is like, I got that. I'll never complain about getting that first appearance of Poison Ivy. But if I would have known what I was bidding on and knew that there was like a poster it's supposed to be on the inside of it, would I have bid more money for something like that? And the only reason I didn't know is because, I couldn't. A lot of times you don't have the time to go in and crack open a comic and look at every little page and make sure everything's in great condition. And the other time is, you want to make sure that you're allowed to do something like that. And most auctioneers don't care, but I mean, they'd probably rather you not be opening up and inspecting every little thing. So
right.
I don't know.
And I'm sure maybe they would have let you do it if you asked, but
yeah. That's always a big risk that you take. So you never know. But again, most people who collect comics aren't into ripping out stuff and putting them in bags. So most likely they were probably in pretty good condition. Anything to say about this Ghost Rider? You took a picture of a Ghost Rider Luke Cage box. I don't know if there was anything in that one. Did you see a Marvel Spotlight in there or anything?
No, I don't think so. They didn't have the first Ghost Rider was in there. I think they had issue like 8. Marvel Spotlight number 8 was the first one. They didn't have. I think what's his first appearance, number 5.
I think it's 5. Yeah,
was not in there. I think in that box there may have been. They had a run of Miss Marvel. It was, I think, a complete run of that series from the 80s.
Okay. All right. Let me see what we got next here.
All right. I bought I bought a random box there. Well, I bought a box that had the first Apocalypse in it.
Oh, X Factor. What was that? X Factor. I can't remember the number. I want to say 4, but
number 6.
6.
So it had like a good run. It had like 2 through 10 in it, and then there was just some other random comics in there. From that Dave's, what did you say? That Dan's collection or something?
Yeah, the books and such.
Books and such. So yeah, it was a bunch of stuff that guy must have been selling in his store because it had his price tags on it. And not knowing, I had a couple issues of Miss Marvel in there too. And when I got home, I was looking at one of them, and on the back it had the price of $59.99. I was like, why?
Whoa, why?
Fine. So anyway, I looked it up the other day, and apparently it's the first Mystique. So
no kidding.
Did get the first appearance of Mystique. I got 16 and 18 of Miss Marvel. So one is like her cameo appearance, and one is the first appearance.
Any idea what you paid for that box?
I think I paid $100 for it.
Okay, no, that's not bad. I mean, for a long box,
a little bit less painful. Since I did get the first, that X Factor run there, and
yeah, you got first Apocalypse.
I wasn't aware that was the first Mystique. I wasn't even thinking about that. So
awesome.
Even us, collectors who collect for a long time, learn something.
All right. So how about, okay, we got, here's the box with the New Mutants 87 and 98, which they had written on the front of the box.
Yeah.
And it looks like it had Alpha Flight. How much did you say that box went for?
$450.
Man, the Deadpool, I think that's probably, I mean, Deadpool and Cable, both two very important appearances, first appearances in Marvel Comics, especially now that we got the movie coming out. But
yeah, I mean, Deadpool is certainly a high-graded copy of that goes for a pretty penny, and I think generally the sale price of those, the comic in the Deadpool issue they had was in pretty good condition.
it
I mean,
wasn't.
the thing is, it wasn't boarded. Like, I don't know how this guy collected. I don't know if he just like bought the comic, didn't read it, and just put it in a bag, because the way the comics were like bagged, they were all stuck together. Like they hadn't been looked at in like 10 years.
Oh, they haven't been messed around. Yeah, somebody probably hasn't.
They were all sticking together like the bags were.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Nobody's gone through them in a while. That's for sure.
Long time. So, but they were in good condition. I don't think they were boarded, but that was definitely one of the better boxes they had. And I bid on it, but I think I stopped bidding at like 200. I was like, forget it. I mean,
there's my groceries. All right, let me see. Am I going backwards? Am I going forwards? I think I'm going.
So back. Another box too. They had a long box that had a lot of the original Infinity Gauntlet series, and they also had the Thanos quest in there. And then some, I think there was like a Captain Marvel #1.
Nice. This is a cosmic box.
So yeah, it was more of like a cosmic box. Had Silver Surfer issues in it, Warlock and Infinity Watch. And that box I think sold for about $350.
Not bad, dude. I just watched a guy trying to sell issue. And I don't know if I've invited you to this Facebook group or not, but there's a group called the Comic War Room, and all they try to do is auction stuff. That's pretty much all this site is. It's like, okay, I'm starting. One guy will do, I'm doing an auction tonight, and I've got 60 issues of stuff up, and I got some keys, and he'll start the bidding off at like $5 for this issue, and then what you do is you comment if you want to up the bid or whatever. Well, anyway. Guy listed on there. He says, he's like, here you go. Infinity Gauntlet #1, $80. I'm like, whoa, wait a second. I was like, has it gone up that much? I haven't.
I don't think so. I think you could buy the whole set for $80.
Yeah. Wow. And he's like, mint copy. And I'm like, okay. So I'm looking, and down there on the very bottom right, you can see the corner had been folded over and folded back. I'm like, dude, $80. So, I'm not your sucker.
I'll confess, Jesse. I have like 7 copies of Infinity.
Well, let's make your money back.
So I need to talk to you about putting that on eBay. I actually have I think I have at least 4 sets of Infinity Gauntlet, like the entire.
Jeez. Well, I had,
and I don't even see that's the problem is I don't know. Like I'll pick it up sometime, I'll buy a lot or something, and I end up adding to my collection, and then I start looking through it. I'm like, oh my god, I have like 7 issues. Like that's what because I bought that lot of X-Men, and I have like X-Men 126. I have like 5 copies of it now. I'm like, I didn't realize I even had 1.
Well, you better set all 5 apart, set the best looking one aside, and then go and turn around and sell the rest of them. That's what you need to do. I put together a box full of just doubles, and I ended up giving them to I think my sister's boyfriend for Christmas. It's just a little short box of doubles, and one of which was like, Infinity Gauntlet 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, that comic book database site that I use, which is Comic Book Realm, I went and put all my doubles up for sale on there. Well, I say up for sale. I just put on there like, this issue's for sale. And well, I give those away like probably 2 Christmases ago. And every once in a while I'll get an email. Somebody's interested in your Infinity Gauntlet #1. And I'm like, oh crap, I got to take that off there. Well, I'm surprised I haven't got any more here recently. But anyway, okay. So let's see what else we got. Oh, here's the G.I. Joe Electric Train and Battle set. Wow. Yeah. That's nice.
One too.
That's pretty neat looking. I don't know if I've ever seen train set.
Yeah, I can't remember how much. I think it sold for like $50 or $60. It wasn't too. I almost thought about buying that because I was like, man, that's kind of cool. But
Well,
it's like I got too much shit.
it's kind of lame. That's the big ass box. It's kind of lame. Like, okay, you got your GI Joe Strike Force and then the Cobra Commands, but they're all like regular army men, like the old style plastic army men. So I don't know about that, but man, there's a lot of stuff. There's a freaking helicopter in that thing, a bridge, some tanks. That's
Speaking of
pretty
GI Joe, there's one more GI Joe lot I'd like to talk about.
okay.
So they had this like they brought out this like big stand, this cart. It was a big cart, and they had all kinds of the GI Joe vehicles on it. I think it had like the Terrordrome. Isn't that like the Cobra Fortress or something that moved around? I don't know. Does that sound something like? Am I getting that right?
There, yeah, I think you're right. It's
Okay,
the big. It's like a big dome looking thing that has. Yeah, I know what you're talking about because a friend of mine
it had this big cart, all right. It looked like all the stuff was in pieces, you know, and it looked like it was in somebody's basement that flooded with sewer water. And it was nasty looking, like it was all dirty, and man, I was like, "What's up with this stuff?" And you know, I don't know. It's sold. Let me tell you, it's sold for like $600.
Wow.
People don't care, man. I don't know. But
wow. Was it just the Terrordrome itself, or did they have a bunch of other vehicles and stuff?
Yeah, there was a bunch of vehicles. I mean, it was like a huge cart. Like it probably had like maybe like 25 different. I mean, it looked like 25 different things, like all piled up and just ran. You know, it was just like random.
Yeah, random
like
stuff put together.
Complete, and then it was like some what was taken apart, and there was just pieces of vehicles laying around. You know, it was just like all kinds of stuff. So,
dude, here's a Transformers electric train and battle set. That's pretty cool. That would have been fun to have with the GI Joe, and there you go, your GI Joe and Transformers.
I mean, I think the box of those two things look pretty cool.
That's what I was looking at, dude. I was looking at I mean, they look actually in really good shape.
Yeah, they definitely. Yeah, the boxes were in really good shape.
All right, so we looked at that. Oh, here's that WWF ring you said went for $5. It looked a little dilapidated.
I could have got it for you for $5. That looked like it was sitting in outside somewhere in the dirt too. It was like
that looks like my son sat in it.
Had several lots of like the wrestling figures too, like the old WWF wrestling figures.
Yeah, the rubber.
Yeah, the rubber.
Man, I can't remember what they're called now, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Several of those lots.
They would have went with that ring. All right, so here's what we got. Here's your Captain Marvel run that I think you got 20, 22, 23, 24, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. I assume that's 34, 35, 36, 37. And it looks like there's a whole other stack.
So yeah, I got issues. So I got issues starting, I think I got issue 24, and then the run I got was missing 25 and 26, which are the two most important issues.
What's going on in those issues?
So issue 25 is I think the first Thanos appearance outside of Iron Man 55.
Okay.
Other than I think there was another lot too that had the Logan's Run number 6, which is an early appearance of Thanos. But 25 and 26 I think are more the more well-known ones.
Okay.
And I actually do have those issues. I just didn't get them in the run. But I think I got, minus those two issues, I think I got then like 28 through like 62.
Nice.
Most the complete run of the series, with the exception of the earlier issues.
Yeah. That's pretty nice. I mean,
they're in good shape too. Those comics are in real good shape.
That's what I was going to say. I'm looking at them right now. They actually, for as old as they are, I mean, we're looking at what, late 70s or mid 70s for the.
I think those are mid 70s.
Mid 70s, starting from the 20s, because it's a 20-cent cover price. And yeah, they look. I mean, they're white. They're definitely don't look faded, and they actually look like they've been only read like once or twice. This is somebody that's kept these things in really good condition. So all right, let's see what else you got here. Oh, here's the X-Men, and we got this is a mixed bag for me here. I think you just threw some stuff together that caught your eye. Or we have X Factor number 6. What if Wolverine had killed the Hulk, which has been discussed here on the Source Material podcast, and also
I did get a nice lot of some what ifs.
Oh,
so
I'm very jealous. The Punisher became Captain America. Silver Surfer possessed Infinity Gauntlet, which was an issue I wanted to read and cover for this week. We're doing so much stuff in regards to the Infinity War that I wanted to read that just to kind of talk about it.
I'll send you a copy of it. I got 3 of them. Or 4 of them.
Well, I have 2. So you go ahead and keep them. Then we have now is 266 X-Men, is that the first Gambit?
Yeah, that would be first Gambit.
Okay. All right. I think I have the issue after that. And then what is no, okay, never mind. I don't think I have 267. Why'd you throw that one in there? Any particular reason?
267?
Yeah. You got X-Men 266 and X-Men 267.
The second Gambit.
Okay. Okay. And then Batman the Killing Joke. I think my favorite comic of all time that I've covered on this podcast, because it's just got some great it's a great story. But
oh yeah, definitely.
So okay, so there's that mixed little bag of stuff there. And then here's your Batman. And right now, right off the bat, I recognized year 2 right away. Batman year 2. Yeah. Year 1, I don't know if I've ever read.
You haven't read the Frank Miller Batman?
I don't think I have. I think I know for a fact I've done year 2 on this podcast. It's got some great Todd McFarlane art, and one of the coolest villains that come out of I guess this was probably the late 80s, and that's the Reaper.
Oh yeah.
So this is a neat little Batman lot here. Batman 10 Nights of the Beast, which I've never heard of. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I pulled out the more valuable ones that are in that particular run that I got.
Yeah. I own the trade.
Any of those are the more popular, I guess, reading copy.
Yeah, I was going to say Batman year 1, definitely. And then one more picture you sent here, which was, oh yeah, okay, some more Batman where we have a Death in the Family. Is that all of the Death in the Family?
Yes. Yep.
Nice. Yeah, because that's 4 issues right there. And what's some of these other ones here? We got Batman. I can't tell what that is. It's got Two-Face on the front of both of them.
Yeah, I just think I posted those. Those are I like the covers on those.
Okay, and well that one with
there's issue like 400, which is like one of the anniversary issues, which is I think a bunch of different writers actually wrote a story in there. I think actually Stephen King wrote a short Batman.
I see it. Special introduction by Stephen King.
Okay, he wrote an introduction. There you
go. Great looking comics. Cool. Well, okay, so what
that runs there's some I didn't get. I got the first Killer Croc, which I didn't know when his first appearance was, but it's like Batman 357 or something like that.
Oh wow. Nice.
And then I got like Jason Todd and some of the issues in there that I really am not too familiar with in Batman, but got a nice run. So working on my complete run of Batman now.
So nice. It's definitely a nice start. So okay, well, what'd you come out of there? So you come out of there. What was your favorite thing that you grabbed?
My favorite thing I grabbed? Good question. I mean, personally, I like the fact that I got something I didn't know what it was. Like I got the first Mystique.
Yeah.
So, didn't know that it was in the box lot that I bought, so that was kind of nice.
Yeah, those surprises are always great. You cannot beat pulling open a long box or something and going through it and finding something that you were like, nobody else knew that they had. So awesome. Very good.
That was good. That's something I didn't really have either. I didn't have that particular key issue. I mean, a lot of the stuff I bought I already have. So
yeah, filling
comics, and I have I have all the.
Well, you're not
Marvel. You know, I think that was good. I'm glad I got that run of Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. Yeah. Well, all right, man. I think we'll wrap up the discussion. Is there anything else you'd like to bring up about the auction? And I mean, how long did you spend there, by the way? I mean, how much time?
Probably about 6 hours.
Really? Okay. Well, that
was about 3 hours before the auction even started.
Yeah.
And I'd say another 2.5 hours probably while the auction went, you know, so.
Well, it's a fun way to spend a day.
Got to meet some people there too, chat with some guys that were other collectors, which is always nice.
Awesome. That's good. That's good.
And so my takeaway is that even though the auction is not online, you're going to still have a lot of competition.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. You got your eye on anything?
Days when you could buy lots for $10.
Right now, I mean, I think there's still there's still auctions out there. It's just it's a matter they're few and far between, and comics are starting to become, oh man, they're becoming a lot, especially back issues. They're becoming it seems like more popular nowadays. I mean, Infinity War just dropped. There's, you know, the search is now being, you know, it's now being held by people that definitely were not comic fans before. And so we got a whole lot of new people in here looking for stuff to get their hands on. So it just makes finding that rare box or that rare auction that has comics up for bid that won't go for sale without a fight. They're few and far between anymore. So you got your eyes on any other auctions here upcoming?
Well, this particular auctioneer said that he's got another 10,000 comics to sell. So
jeez,
they haven't posted that yet. So I'm going to keep an eye out for that one.
All right. Well, yeah, definitely. Well, Golden Age Dave, it's been a fun discussion about what you picked up there. We've been kind of holding off talking about this for about a week now, and I'm glad I had the chance to go through and look at some of the comics you got and talk about what was there. So I'd say this is probably one of the more, I mean, you've been to quite a few auctions here. I'd say I don't know. How many auctions would you say you've been to in the last year?
Last year? Well,
within the last year, I say you had the big one that we
live
talked
auctions.
about.
I've only been to 2. So
the big one.
I participate in that, like the Heritage auctions and the Comic Connect auctions. I mean, those are like every month, every week for Heritage. So, you know, I'm always looking at the auctions online. But
yeah,
as far as live auctions, I think, yeah, there was that one I went to when I first moved here to Massachusetts. I think that was about more than a year ago.
And you were picking up long boxes for pretty cheap though, and that was
there. Yeah, there was nobody there. I mean, that was down in Rhode Island, and there was like nobody there.
Wow.
And then nobody was bidding on the boxes, and the guy's like, "Well, all right, so you can just take whatever you want for $10 a box."
Oh my gosh!
Okay. Load up my car. Let me load it up.
Jeez.
Like, I think I could fit 20 boxes in there.
I'll
just sit on top of one.
Yeah, my feet will reach the pedals.
One other thing too, I want to mention too about this auction, there was some lots of like the graphic novels too.
Oh yeah, I saw one of the boxes below some of the the long boxes looked like there were some graphic novels and stuff in there. Tell me they went for at least $60 a box.
Oh my God, they went for way more than that, Jesse.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Thank goodness.
I think they had one there that went for like, it was well over 200.
Wow.
I don't think any of them went for under $200, honestly.
Well, that's good, I guess. I mean, was it more popular stuff though? Do you know? Was it like?
Yeah, I mean they had some of the more like they had the hardcovers, like X-Men hardcovers, and like there was one that was like the I think it was the shoot, what was that? The Sandman.
Yes, yes.
It was like a hardcover collector's edition or something.
Okay.
And it had like the first 20, maybe 20 issues in the hardcover, and that sold for like $250.
There's a guy that I listen to, a podcast called the Collected Comics Library, CCL. And all he does is just talk about what's upcoming and what's selling. Usually pretty, mostly it's about what's upcoming in regards to graphic novels and collections like that. So if it's a hardcover collecting the first 20 issues, or it's an omnibus or whatever, he kind of gives you the heads up on what's coming out and what's been out there as well. So I imagine there's a market. I mean, there's clearly a market for trades, because where else are you going to find, the 20 issue story that's without having to try and find each individual issue? That's
Right.
kind of why I went, that's kind of why I spent the money. It isn't really the reason I spent $60 on those trades, because I got tricked into it. But besides that, what made me happy about getting that is the fact that, okay, I have 3 boxes full of trades that are, we're at least looking at complete story arcs, or sometimes even complete stories. So, that's the one thing I can say about the trades. Now, as to whether I can move them, because I need to move them, Dave. I need to sell them, at least some of them. I don't know, but it's kind of nice to hear that some of them, a box full of trades went for that. So
yeah, one of the other cool lots they had too. They had a lot of the Marvel graphic novels.
Oh, the original, the OGNs.
Yeah.
From like the Silver Surfer, and yeah, I know what you're talking about there. This is like in the 80s, I would assume, right?
Yeah. So they had the first New Mutants is in that series. They had that issue, and they had the God Loves
Man Kills. Mm-hmm.
Issue, and then there was, I think, about 5 or 6 more issues. I think one with the Punisher in it too.
Yep.
And they had the Silver Surfer issue. And I was hoping to get that lot, because I was thinking, man, maybe people don't know about these. And but that lot sold for like over $200.
Yeah, I was going to say the OGNs are usually pretty hot. That's something.
They were in good shape. They were in good shape.
People want to get their hands on those.
I think I have a copy of. I have the New Mutants, first New Mutants, and I have the God Loves Man Kills one. So the really only one I wanted was the Silver Surfer one.
Yeah, I can't remember the title of that one.
That one.
So. Yeah, $200 is, unless it's something you really, really want and want to, put money into something like that. I don't know. I mean, it's tough to make a decision to spend that much money. But, well, I think we have covered everything. We've gone on for about an hour and a half, I think. So, Golden Age Dave, I thank you again for coming on to the podcast and talking about auctions. Hopefully, did you say something? You said we got this guy might have another 10,000 at some point. So if you go to another one anytime soon, let me know. Or if you experience some fun stuff on Heritage that you got to talk about, there's always a format here. I'd love to talk to you about auctions and share it with all of our fans. That's probably a strong word, but all the people that have to download this podcast because they're trying to listen to MMA Ground and Pound, which is on the network, ladies and gentlemen. A plug for Robert Winfrey's 411 Ground and Pound. And just because you're getting, look at it this way, you're getting my show as a bonus, and you can damn well listen. So anything else there?
Nope, that's all, man.
All right. Well, I'm going to just go ahead and say, ladies and gentlemen, go give the Radulich in Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts that we have to offer. You can go back into the archives and listen to me and Golden Age Dave talk about the auction that occurred there at the beginning of April, where we man, we saw a lot of key issues go up for bid. We saw a lot of long boxes. We had a good discussion about what we were trying to win, what we didn't win, and all that fun stuff. So, I guess we'll look forward to seeing you at the next auction. Have a good one. Actually, don't come to the auction. Okay, stay away because I don't want to have to bid against you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.